Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show, where I have Angie Wisdom in the house today. And is she going to drop some wisdom, some heart centered leadership? She wrote the book, The Non-Negotiable You. I was attracted to her immediately. I've had conversations and connections with her. You're going to want to get your pen and paper out. I don't say this very often, but you're going to want to listen to this woman because she has guaranteed us some heart dropping centered moments today. Welcome, Angie, to the show.
Thank you, Dana. Man, I am excited about what we're going to create today. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I put a box around, and that's energetically. Sometimes I'll put boxes around things that like light up for me. And then I did that with your book, The Non-Negotiable You. Why did you write that? What do you think? What were
Mm.
you negotiating in your life? Because usually we'll write things that we've been negotiating and we're just like,
Oh, God.
we're not going to negotiate this shit anymore.
Girl, what wasn't I negotiating in my life? I mean, it was like my worth, my opinion of myself, my values. I mean, I was selling out everything.
Mm,
I was just like in tune to what everyone else needed, what everyone else thought. I definitely wasn't the empowered one. There was the
yeah.
victim mentality. I was selling out to like frustration and control. So it was just like kind of a storm where I was like, man, there has got to be a better way to do this. This is
Yeah.
not going to lead me to the life that I really want, that I think I deserve. And yeah, there was a lot in there.
What was a defining moment like in your life? Was it an epiphany or like I'm fed up and I'm not going to take it anymore, like that 1970s network movie where they
Yeah.
open the windows and they're saying, I'm fed up and I'm not going to take it. What was that moment look like in your life where you just said, hey, you know what? I'm done negotiating. I'm
There were
taking back all yeah.
two,
Oh,
yeah, there were two moments I would say. One, I was a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley, and you can remember this probably with me, right? I
mhm,
would pull out every day, I'd pull out a calendar out of my desk drawer. Like we had paper
yeah.
calendars, right? And it was like all the whole month there, and I'd take a pen
Yep.
and I'd slash through a day. And it was like I'd look at, okay, 10 days gone, and I
Mm,
was like, holy crap. I'm 22 years old, crossing days off a calendar like I'm serving some kind of prison sentence. Like,
yeah.
why am I so excited to have a day done? And that was just like a really weird thing because I wasn't like excited to
Yeah.
go and start. I was so excited to cross it off and close my desk drawer and go home. So that was this first kind of like aha moment that like something must be off a little bit. But then I'll
Yeah.
tell you a funny story. What really started tapping me into shifting into what I want, my husband, God love him, like he is all about what he wants in a good way. And I remember coming home one day from the grocery store and I'm carrying all these bags and he's packing up his Sprinter van with all his surfboards and he's like, the waves are so epic, da da da. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do my thing. And he's like what? And I'm like, I'm gonna get the groceries put away, I'm gonna get the laundry done. And I listed all these things that were like
The invisible
chores.
workload, the
Yes.
invisible workload that we carry.
Right. And he was like, you need to find your thing. And I was like, my thing, this is my thing. He's like, that's not a thing. You need to find like the thing that actually like fires you up, like surf fires me up, that like you're excited to go after. And I was like, shit, he's right. Like the invisible workload, like you described, it's like you fall into these patterns of just like what you're supposed to do. And you
Were
think
you,
that's
were
your
you,
thing.
yeah, were you able to ask him to split that with you and say, listen, I don't know why I took this on as a woman and now I'm going to
Yeah.
delegate and we're going to split the paper. Here's yours, here's mine, less surfing for you, more lit up time for me.
Yeah.
And this is a 50-50 partnership. Were you able to do that?
Honestly, here's the crazy thing, Dana. He always offered, always wanted, but the
Mm,
place I was in was
yeah.
like, nope, I got to do it all on my own because if I do it
Yep.
all on my own and I'm the biggest helper there can be, I'm indispensable and irreplaceable. It was that
And more
that people
loved,
pleaser and
more,
more
yeah, that,
loved and
yeah,
more valued.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
he offered all the time. And I had at that point in time found more value in doing things for people and checking those boxes than I did taking time for myself.
Well, and as you know, at this point, writing the book is if you did any research out there, which I imagine you have had a lot, this is about 99.9% of women. We
Yeah.
take on that invisible workload, whether it be Christmas, holidays, and I am number one of I'll do it myself because I can do it best,
Yes.
faster. But it was more than that. It was about control. And it was like, do you love me now? Do you see what I'm willing to do for you? And then when I
Mhm.
didn't get what I needed, I'd bottom out and for me, I'd get angry and then I would
Yeah.
create chaos. And it was definitely a cycle. And I watch it out there now of women that are people pleasing and still negotiating and aren't
It's
willing to ask for help.
ask.
Yeah.
It's so
So
true.
when you
I've
found out
had so
what lit
many
you up,
people I will tell you a
yeah.
funny thing, you said, like, 99% of the people. I have had so many people reach out and go, "I feel like you wrote this book for me." You know what I mean? Like, they feel so singled out,
Yeah.
which is just this idea that, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how many of us that there are. Like, everyone feels like, "How did you know my story?" I'm like,
And I
"Honey,
feel so
it's
selfish for
everybody's
asking for yeah,
story."
because I'm a woman, I think I should take it on. It is
Yeah.
that invisible workload that we take on, and it's our job because our moms did it and all the generations did it, and it was harder for them to do it. What's wrong with me that I can't juggle all of this,
Mhm.
and make this why am I feeling so heavy and burdened by this? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
So
lit you
true.
up? What woke up and you just went was it just like an epiphany of like fire, like this is it? Or was it like a slow burn and an awakening?
It was definitely like a slow burn. I had to pivot first to go like, I didn't even know what I liked. I didn't even
Yeah.
know what lit me up, right? So
Yeah.
I had shifted out of that for so many years that I had to go back and go, okay, well, what if I allowed myself to have time, what would I do? You know, if I believed I was worthy of having this time for myself, like what would I go do? And I really had to do some digging because when you've locked that stuff away for so long,
Yeah.
sometimes like I had to go back. Funny story. I had to go back to like high school. And you know what I ended up doing? This is so embarrassing, Dana. I ended up going back to gymnastics. I mean, I went back to
Mm.
gymnastics like in my 30s. My husband's like, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to break something. Like, this is ridiculous. But it was what I knew filled me up from long,
Yeah.
long ago.
Yeah.
So you had to really dig. And what I learned that I did not expect at all
Mm.
was that what filled me up most was actually freaking sitting with myself and getting
Mm.
to know who I was and having some alone time, which was unheard of, and just being still and quiet. Like it was the
Mm.
opposite of anything that I'd ever enjoyed before.
Giving yourself permission to have, one of your quotes, a worry-free life.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of worry, and tell me if you felt this, a lot of worry on this invisible load that we do every day, checking the boxes off. I need to do this, 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 this. This is what I have to accomplish in order to feel value. And it's a never-ending story. We wake up and we do it all over again. And I think that did you feel the frustration? And were you able to put that away and shift into the space that it takes to be so uncomfortable?
I was. And to kind of give a little context, I was a hustler. So it was like I didn't mind being uncomfortable. It's odd. Like I would pursue and I was successful and I didn't mind being uncomfortable. Uncomfortable for me was sitting still with myself, right? And
Yeah.
giving myself that time because
Yeah,
I
that was my question. It
remember,
probably came out wrong. Yeah. Was it uncomfortable
yes.
sitting still and saying, I don't know what to plug into, but I am here in this dead space
Yeah.
and it better come in quickly because I don't have much time
Right.
because you are a hustler and an achiever and we call it the invisible workload, but it's a load and we're checking boxes all day long, making sure everyone is encompassed and taken care of with the exception of you.
Yes, yeah, and I remember, like, this is wired from long ago, right? Like,
Yeah.
when I was young and I would hear the garage door open, my mom was home and it was like, "Get up off the couch and do something. You better clean something, you better move something, dust something, like, you
Oh
better
yeah.
be in motion when she
Oh,
walked in the door or it was going
oh,
to be an
you just
unleashing."
took me there. I'm gonna tell you, it's like scrambling. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you better be being productive and be
Yeah.
doing, yeah.
Yeah, or she would say, like, am I allowed to cuss on here?
Oh
She
yeah,
would say, "Don't be a lazy ass." So sitting down, you were a lazy ass. It was
yeah,
ironic because she sat down a lot. She had a drinking problem, but she would say, like, "Don't be such a lazy ass." So it
yeah.
was
So just mirror that
instantly
back at you. She probably felt like that, and she's gonna project that on
yes.
you, and you're just hustling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you found your worth in hustling, so you wouldn't mirror back being a
Yes.
lazy ass. So your whole life,
Got
you
it.
were trying to overcome the high low of, hey, if I don't hit this, I'm a lazy ass. And,
Mhm.
I can definitely identify with that. I mean, I think it's so important, like you said, to go back and go back even further and go back even further to the first time we felt that we needed to connect to something outside of ourselves because we weren't worth just connecting with. We were never taught to go in. We were taught to
Mhm.
go out. Well, you're lazy ass if you don't work hard. Well, how hard can I work? And there is no limit to that because it's a never-ending story. It's that
Mhm.
subconscious that it just keeps churning out the same story. Your just desire is a different result. So when you wrote the non-negotiable you, what took place to tap into that? And where were you in your life that made sense?
It wasn't that long, ago, so it's pretty
Yeah.
current, right? It was just a couple years ago, and I was in this place in my life where I was like, "Man, it's not," and this might sound wrong, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Like, I lived a different way for a long, long time, and
Yeah.
people need to understand, like, what they're deserving of, and I just felt so compelled to share with people so that no matter what, they could read this anywhere. What's a book cost? What, $10 or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
to start even to say, like, I can sit, I can trust myself, I do deserve to do things that I love to do. Like, it was just this moment that, like, man, if even one person, 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people read this and make a shift,
Yeah.
it's all worth it. And it was hard for me to sit and go through it because you start bringing up all those old stories again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But so worth it. I mean, it's just so special to me.
So do you feel like all that reprogramming, it's a one and done? Or are you constantly on that reprogramming, having to check yourself and say, wait a minute, that's an old story. This is a current one. This is what I'm doing. Does it get easier?
Most of it, yeah, most of it is like done. It has been
Yeah.
so ingrained for so long now because I did the work
Yeah.
way before I ever wrote the book, right? So
Yeah.
it's really ingrained now. There are some things, like I'll tell you, confession here, not taking on other people's feelings is still something that comes up for me. Like I will
Mm.
literally, if I see my husband get amped up over something, whether it's valid or stupid or anything like that, I literally have to say to myself, his feelings, not mine. His feelings, not mine. I have to remind myself because I will take those feelings on still.
Yeah,
And
and even try to
that's,
fix it. Let me come in and fix this so
yes,
I can be more comfortable with your feelings because
you got
I'm
it.
really uncomfortable right now. And I and probably had some if we're people pleasers, which man, I was super one too. I would take it on as I was doing something wrong. And
Yep,
there was a wrongness attached to that. If you're not okay, I'm not okay. So I need everyone to be okay. Are you okay? Are you okay over there? Straight, are you okay with me? Because if you're not, I'm not okay too. So
you
I
got
love
it.
that you brought that up because I think that I wrote down some quotes that you had written. I
Yeah.
pulled them out. Your mindset should be a mirror of your values. Clarity creates confidence, and confidence fuels success. You can
Mhm.
scale your impact without sacrificing your peace. Huge one for a lot of female entrepreneurs. Being non-negotiable means honoring who you are, not no matter what. All of those have boundaries, parameters around them
Mhm.
that people pleasing doesn't have. It's open ended. It's like it's a Groundhog's Day every day, showing up and negotiating. So, what did it take to when you wrote all those, and when you were in that place, what were you willing to give up? I always say we have to use that universal law of sacrifice. What were you willing
Mhm.
to give up to take ownership of that? Because that's a woman that speaks of strong values, core values, non-negotiating, no longer negotiating with who you are, and putting boundaries up so you could create the space and time for the life that lights you up.
One main thing, what other people thought. I
What
had to
people
let
thought
go.
about
I
you.
had to give up what other people thought about me. Whether they liked me, whether they liked what I had to say, whether they thought I was smart, good, like
Yeah,
all of it. It had to
yeah,
go out the door because you
yeah.
can't hold on to that and step into your impact zone and do something really special and live your, most impactful life. They just don't show up in the same space
Yeah.
together. And so I
Nice.
had to let it go. And that was a big thing. I mean, look,
Mm.
everything you shared, Dana, I'm like, man, did we grow up in the same bubble? Because we're so synced on some of that crap that
Yeah,
we went through.
yeah,
And that's a big thing to give up when you've spent your whole life
yeah.
looking for the external validation and performance, which most people do. Like to just go, I'm not going to consider that anymore is a big shift.
But, both of us being high performance driven, I said records, all those things, I call that trauma driven because I could never do it now. because it
Yeah.
was very traumatic. But we both had an alcoholic parent. We both had unreasonable expectations and this drive and this nervousness and walking on eggshells like, hey, is everyone okay? Because if they're not, you know, I'm not okay. So I think that sets us up for the perfect storm in the world to negotiate our life away, our careers away, our personal love and space away, how we show up and value ourselves. I always say, universal law, first cause, you've got to come first. And women look at me like, no, 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 no. I know that
Mhm.
that's so selfish. My kids come first. My marriage, and I said, no, you are first cause. That's cause and effect. You come first. And when you are living a really abundant life, you create the space to hold space for them. And I wrote that question down for you. How can someone start identifying how and what their non-negotiables are, and what would they start looking at in their life?
For I got it. Yeah, I hope you don't mind. I want to comment on what you just said
Yeah.
because it's so important. You probably hear this as much as I do. Like, that's selfish. Putting
Yeah.
yourself first is selfish.
Oh, yeah.
People need to understand it's actually selfless. It is
Yeah.
so selfish to
Yeah.
not put your first self first and then show up for people with less than who you are.
Oh,
If
yeah.
I'm in the back of the line and I haven't taken care of me, I haven't had any space, I haven't had my values. And so maybe I'm like 60% potential, 70%, and then I go show up either
Yeah.
drained, resentful,
I was
annoyed,
just gonna say, yeah, to
frustrated.
show what that would look like. Drained, resentful,
Yes,
angry, you know,
that's selfish.
yeah, and then we create an environment that isn't so loving, isn't our authentic self. It's
Yeah.
the circumstances that we've created, the bind that we've created by
Hmm.
negotiating. So, yeah, I love that you highlighted that because it's one of the biggest resistance I see. It's like, can't do that, can't do that. Yeah, maybe when the kids are out of school, but my kids come
Hmm.
first, and I'm like, well, yeah, my kids came first too, and I've had to, and I dedicated my book to them because they went through so much with me, being a people pleaser, a perfectionist, paralysis. Everything had to be perfect because if it was perfect, then they'd be okay. I was giving them everything they wanted, but it
Right.
was a disaster. It was a disaster zone. So now that they're grown women, I watch those patterns being recreated, and I have to step in and say, "Yep, I did a really bad job there, and I can
Yeah.
hold space for you and love you, and I'm here for you." But no, that wasn't great that I did that, and be accountable,
Hmm.
radically accountable. So when you're teaching people, and I think that this is probably one of your cores, hey, how to not to negotiate, what would you tell the first thing? What would you say to them?
The first, and it's funny, people say, like, how do you find your non negotiables? First and foremost, like, everyone should have the same non negotiable, and that is to have a relationship with yourself that you trust. Like,
Mm,
that has to be the foundation. We can talk all day long about what comes after that. Well, I have a non negotiable of this much, activity or this much vacation or free time or whatever it may be. But those are things, right?
mhm,
We have to focus on that first relationship. You're the primary source of everything you create and everything you impact. So
mm,
non-negotiable should be you spending time with you trusting yourself, you living your values, you mastering your mindset, like controlling what you can control, which is only you. So that is first the non-negotiable. And I mean, look, we can start that. We could literally start that relationship sitting
mhm.
down with ourselves for 5 to 10 minutes.
I was just going to ask you,
Five
what
to
practices would you
Yes.
recommend they start with to do this, to
Yep.
get to trust themselves? Because we both know that they show up when, if this is what their life is looking like, they're not trusting themselves at all.
Exactly.
They
And
don't even
so
know how to start that relationship. How would you start that relationship?
the simplest thing, set your phone alarm for 5 to 10 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever you want there. I have a whole morning mindset practice and journal, but like just start here. Set your phone and just sit with yourself and think about like, how do I feel right now? How do I feel? Let things just come to your mind. You can write it down if you want, or you can just think about it. I feel drained. I feel tired. I feel excited. I feel motivated, whatever. Just let awareness come of your feelings. And then ask yourself, what do I want to do about any of it?
Mm,
Awareness empowerment. 5 minutes of awareness empowerment. And all of a sudden, you're sending this message to yourself like, oh, shoot, you really care about me. Oh, we're prioritizing myself now. Oh, you want to know how I feel? You want to give me options on what to do about it? I'm going to start taking responsibility for how I feel. That
mhm,
creates the beginning of this amazing relationship that I literally have goosebumps right now because when you get in that place of self trust,
mm.
man, things just become tremendously easier to navigate.
When you brought that up, and I'm thinking about my daily practice and how much I love what you just said. and validated 100%, how I deal with people that are really surrounded by toxic positivity. That if I just say positive and I just keep doing my mantras and my meditations, that all this is gonna go away, and they spiritually bypass that feeling, of, "Man, I'm not feeling great today." And for
Mhm.
whatever reason, maybe you don't even need to find the reason. I'm gonna sit with that, and I'm gonna be okay with it. How difficult is it for women to take on this toxic positivity? "I must be okay, I must be okay. I have every reason. I'm so grateful. The universe is everything's so beautiful. I should never feel like this." And how much does it take for them to sit with that and be still with some days we're just not okay? And will they
Yeah.
take ownership of it?
It's one of those topics out there that I feel like gets massaged incorrectly, right? Like I am
Love that.
all
Oh,
about
I love that
I'm
massaged
yes.
incorrectly.
It's like I'm all about reframing. I am
Yeah.
all about not sitting
Yeah.
with thoughts that don't serve you
Yeah.
100%. But that does not mean just squishing them down and ignoring them. Like your biggest power is by saying, "Gosh, yeah, I feel this way."
Yeah.
But only I feel this way. And I want to really let people hear that word because when we say I am something, then we
Mhm.
take on the identity and you're destined for that result. But when we're
Yeah.
like, gosh, I feel a little resentful. I feel burnout. I feel exhausted. There's nothing wrong with that. But that you have to have that secondary question, what do I want to do about it? And
Yeah.
if look, I'm all for it. If you say I want to sit in this crap for the next 30 minutes, that's your choice. Just take responsibility for what you want to do
Mhm.
instead of it happening to you.
Yeah. So
That's it.
if they set up the tent and they're gonna build up the house there, this is
Yeah.
this is, the house I'm gonna die under. I'm not letting go of that resentment. They did me wrong. I'm gonna sit here and we know this happens out there a lot. They just can't move on from that. What would you give the people that they just won't let go of something that's got them very, I always
Mm.
say situations get us stuck. People aren't stuck, but our
Yeah.
mindset can get stuck and in a reel of
Yes.
what would you say to them? What are they negotiating with, and what do they need to release, and what could move them forward from that state? Because we know there's listeners out there that saying, "Man, I'm not letting go of that," and I like feeling bad about it every day because it just keeps it relevant of how much I dislike that situation.
Mhm.
And what would you say
Well,
to
it's
them?
like you have to think about it from this perspective first. If they truly like it and want to embrace it, that's their choice, right? I'm all about taking responsibility. But I
They
like to
may
get
not even know they
people
like it, but they know
okay,
it's
yes.
familiar. It's familiar, and
Right.
it's what I do, and it's what gets me fired up, and, because I think a lot of times people can get angry, and they get motivated through the anger,
Yeah.
and
Right,
well, where's
right.
my motivation gonna come from if I let that go? Because I am motivated by this. I mean, that there's a little
Mhm.
bit of onion peeling back. They have to have a little insight there, but a lot of times they don't even have the insight. But here they've set up this house, they're connected to that. Are you able to reach them? Is there something you
Yeah.
can say to this audience
Here's
and to those people that are you are clear on what they've set up, where you can say to make that shift for them where they could like a little crack, an opening, a light, an insight?
you're going to love this. You're going to love this. So I like to tell people, close your eyes for a second and just tell me where you feel this feeling within you. And people are
Mhm.
like, whoa, whatever, woo woo. But like, seriously, like, close your eyes and you're just like, okay, I can't stand this person. This is what they did. Where do you feel it? What color is it?
Yeah.
And all the time, it's this like, it's black, it's in my heart, it's, red, it's in my stomach. Like, they feel something and they attach to it. And when they do, then they're like, oh, God. I'm like, do you want to keep it? Do you want
Yeah.
to keep that in there? Like, is that serving you? Does it feel good in your body? Is it moving you forward? And instantly, when they can see like what this feeling is doing within them,
Yeah.
there's usually this opportunity to go, crap, maybe I don't really want that within me. It's like if you said, like, hey, you got some mold in your system. Hey, you got cancer. You got this. Do you want to keep it in you?
Yeah.
No, it's a toxin within you.
Yeah.
So when people look at it from that perspective, we're able to release the ego part because it's usually ego that we're holding it on to. And it's
Yeah.
like we're not clearing it for them. We're clearing it for us. And
Yeah.
that's where I think people get messed up is they think that like by forgiving, by forgetting, they're letting someone else off the hook. Not at all.
Yeah.
You're
Oh, I
letting
love that.
yourself off the hook.
Yeah.
Why give anyone that you had ill feelings towards any bit more of your energy or bandwidth?
Yeah. Or power. Or your
Yes.
power. Your life force energy,
Absolutely.
all that life force energy
Yes.
going, like you said, visualize that big black hole, just all your life force energy going down that isn't building what you
Right.
might desire. And so when I looked at some questions I wrote down today, and I haven't even looked down,
Yeah.
but for women that are wanting to build a business and they're coming out of the people pleasing and the toxic positivity and they're wanting to build something sustainable, um, I guess I'm it's twofold. It's twofold. What daily habits you've kind of answered it, would they create? And second, what role is trusting themselves every day? What can they do to keep tapping into that? Because we know the stories are 95% of what we do, and it's easy to go back. The ego say, "Oh, well, this way," because over here is the newness of what we don't know yet, and the ego's there to
Mhm.
protect. And there's that constant battle of what we know and what we don't know. And I think it's terrifying for a lot of people to step into an area they don't know. So they're constantly trying to struggle with the story and get a different outcome. So when I
Yeah.
wrote all these questions, I thought, you've created a life where you've worked through that and you're like, you've come out of the fire. And, it's like, it's been 2 years since you wrote the book. You've been sustainable in this. What would be the biggest practices that they can utilize in their success um, without burning out?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, easy. So 2 things. Those first crew questions I gave you, they're part of, like I said, the morning mindset practice. I created an entire 10 to 15-minute morning mindset practice all
Is
backed
that a
on
non-negotiable?
neuroscience.
Is that a
It's a
non-negotiable for you?
non-negotiable,
Okay.
absolutely, because that's actually how I create the relationship with myself. Once I move through that awareness and the empowerment, I go into
Mhm.
intentions. So if you're building a business, if you're building a life, no matter what, it's like, what are you intending to do today? If you don't order what you want, you're going to get what you get. So it's like that starts to build the self trust too. Here's what I
Mm,
intend to do. And you move into the affirmations of gratitude, all these things that, like I said, neuroscience packed. But then there's reflection questions at the end of the day. And when you get to ask yourself, like, did I
mm,
hit those intentions? No, no big deal. But like, what got in the way? What did you learn? Those are the things that we have to constantly be in connection with if we want to not get stuck in what we were in. So, those
mm,
stories you're talking about, if I had something on my intention where I was like, this happened when I wrote the book, I'm going to write today. At the end of the day, it was like, to get your intentions done? Nope. What happened? What got in the way? I'm like, I couldn't do this, right? And I'm uncovering stories all the time.
right.
Eventually, you run out of the stories and you get the truth. And
Mm,
so you have to have that relationship that allows you to unpack that. So that's one piece. And I'm happy to even give you the PDF you can share with the show and everything for people.
oh, love
I
this. Love it.
can't advocate enough for it. And then the other thing is you said something so important, like they don't know. It's hard to stay attached to something and going after something when you
Yeah,
don't know, or you haven't been
yeah,
there.
right.
Here's the amazing thing, and you know this. If we see something enough, we do know it. We don't actually have to live it for our mind to believe that it's happening and that we know it. So, one of the most powerful things I've done is, and I'm not saying you have to go get certified in hypnosis, but being able to get into a state with yourself, even just closing your eyes for a few minutes, seeing
Mhm.
what you want to create. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you're building that vision of a business, if you're building different relationships, no matter what, you got to start seeing it and trying it on. And your brain is like, okay, it's like dress rehearsal. So the
Yeah,
more you see it every day, the more you know it. And the
right.
other stories become kind of old news. So I
Yeah.
love, love, love that too.
I love the fact that the further we get away from the stories, the more identified they'll show up and we're like, "Oh, I'm aware that is not the truth. That is a story I created to prevent me from succeeding over here." And I love that you just illuminated that. Is there anything
Hmm.
that I didn't ask you you'd like to share? Because I mean, I love how far down we're willing to go to pull back where we've been, what it looks like, what you need to do. And how will we know? I mean, we know this, but how would the people that are listening know if they get caught in a loop? I call it an energetic loop. How can they get out of it?
Yeah, I'm writing a couple of those things down. I want to, even what you said a second ago about the stories. I put a post up today and I said, you will find evidence of whatever story you're
Oh yeah,
telling
I love that.
yourself.
I love that.
Right. And
It's one
it's
of my
just
favorite.
like,
It's one of the favorite things I say. I loved it. So I think I
yeah.
hearted it. Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
everybody, you have to think about the stories you're telling yourself. You may think they're true because your mind is wired to find congruency with
Yeah.
whatever story you have. So don't let that be a validation of a story that's not serving you. You could choose a new story and you're going to find just as much evidence for that new empowering story as well. So I think that's really key because people get stuck in their heads going, yeah, but well, look, this is proving it right. So it must be true. No, our
Right.
brains are just wired for that,
Yeah.
and that's why two different people can see the same thing and see different visions of it. But
I love
I
that you said
think
that they're wired for that. It's so true. Our brain is
yes,
wired for that.
absolutely. Which is then gets to the exciting part, that you and I know about is like, wow, isn't that exciting that our brain is wired to align with what we believe? So if we choose to believe something great, and it's like the
Yeah.
reticular activating system, we choose to see that business, we choose to see the opportunity, that our brain starts working for us
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
finding the right people and the connections and the energy. Like you
Yeah.
and I could geek out about this all day long.
Oh, yeah, geek out, and we could call it your source or
Yeah.
universe or brain or soul energy, but it's all alignment of, hey,
Yes.
whatever we're speaking into existence, it's energy, it's vibration, and our life will follow instantly. And,
Yeah.
what would you say to the people that are listening to that and they're like, hey, I'm writing it out, I'm doing the work, I'm doing all of it, and I've built the business and I'm not getting any results. What would you say is
Mm.
going on with them? Because I hear this one a lot. They're doing all the work. They're showing up, they're unpacking, they're healing, but they've built their business and it's let's just go with we'll pick one industry, coaching. And
Yes.
they're not attracting anything. What's going on with them?
As
What
two
would you say to them?
things.
Yeah, two things.
Two
What's
things.
going on and what would you suggest they do?
I would say, what are your results you're looking for, right? Expectations are huge.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people look for the result 10 miles down the road and it's just not connecting, right? Like there's a
The
lot
act
of
of
results that are going to
comparison. Yeah.
happen before you get to the end result. So first I have to go, okay, what result are you expecting? And if it's in within reason, I'm going, what's your story around it? Because
Right.
whatever story they have is exactly what they're putting out there. So if that coach then says, well, my story is that my content isn't good enough. My story is that I don't have enough experience. Oh my God, sister, that's exactly what you're putting out there.
So it goes back
So,
to the trust and the radical truth of you've got to get honest with yourself when you're asking those questions. Not like I'm
yes.
doing everything. There's nothing wrong, but inside we're feeling that maybe a worthiness issue like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm too new or I'm afraid to reach out and connect. So I just keep hiding. And
Yeah,
so it would kind of look like that too. The
it
stories
is.
of not being totally transparent and honest and that trust with yourself of, "Hey, if I'm gonna keep building this, I've gotta keep showing up," and would you say being uncomfortable?
I think sometimes I feel like being uncomfortable often gets thrown around like we're supposed to be uncomfortable. And I don't know that we have to be this like, wow,
Mm,
that feels not good. That feels uncomfortable. I like to think about it like feeling, tingly, feeling fired up, feeling excited, because that can be uncomfortable too, but in a good way, you
yeah,
know? And so I think we have to look for that as well. But whatever, and I know this sounds a little like kind of crazy and vague, but if you're doubting your results, then there's something that doubt already is sending you in that same storm and attracting that, right?
right,
And so we have to really go, what results am I looking for? Is that reasonable? And what if I just started to believe today that I was worthy of those results, that I'm getting
right,
those results, like shifting into that I already have it in abundance, you're going to show up differently. But
right.
if you're showing up with this idea that, like, man, I can't get any clients, I'm not getting any traction, you are going to come off desperate, right? That scarcity, and that's just going to
Yeah,
repel people. So it almost becomes this like self fulfilling prophecy, right? Of what you
exactly.
think is exactly what you're experiencing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because I do see this a lot in the industry, and I think it's they're not willing to be truthful about how they're deeply feeling about how they're showing up and what their expectations are and how they can
Yeah.
meet themselves, honestly and transparently and I think we're shifting and would you say this, Angie, that we're shifting into 2026 in this last quarter where I think last year I call it kind of a trigger word was trauma. This year was probably
Mm-hmm.
authenticity. Next year, I think it's about connection. It's about really
Oh,
connecting, to self, we talked about a little bit before the show. I was like, I'm going to restructure everything because I got to pull it all the way back because at this age, if I'm not willing to show up so transparent and connect at a level that I want to connect at, I can't call that in.
Mhm. You
So,
literally, I was like, she's gonna say connecting, and it's like your energy hit me right in my cheeks, and I was like,
yeah.
there it is.
Well, here I called
It's
you in.
so
I
true.
saw your page. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to send her a message right away. I love this woman,
Yeah.
and yeah, I love the book. I love what you've written. I love how you show up, and I love your story. You know, because it's so
Thank
many
you.
women's story, and a lot of
Yeah.
times we just aren't going to show it because we want to build and we want to show sometimes this perfect. This is what we built, but we're not willing to go back and say, hey, this is what it took to get here.
Yeah.
And this is what I had to heal. And like you said, do the work. That means healing and diving in and unpacking and healing and forgiving and loving. And like you said, the self
Mhm.
loving and meeting yourself over and over again and starting new practices and non negotiables and making mistakes and getting back up and saying, whoo, dusted myself off. That was a close one. And
Mhm.
start packing up a new, I call it a new pack
Yeah,
and
yeah.
unpacking the old one. I love it. How can people find you? Where do you hang out these days? What do you got going on? Are you speaking? I know you've got your book. We'll provide links and all that, but tell them where you connect and how they can find you.
Yeah, I hang out a lot on Instagram for sure. So most of my content is there. I have a podcast, Sharing Wisdom, which I know you're going to come
Yeah.
light up my side of the podcast as well. And then I speak, definitely out there speaking, sometimes a lot of private events. But yeah, if you go
Yeah.
to my website at angiewisdom.com, you'll find everything there. And there's YouTube and LinkedIn, but it's like go to the platform of your choice. The only where I don't hang out is TikTok. I don't know. Do you hang
Yeah.
out on TikTok, Dana?
No, not at
No,
all.
me
And I
either.
have
I
someone
think
who's
we're
building there. She goes, "Do you know much about it?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, but I mean, they did share over
yeah.
there for a while, but I've never connected or
Yeah.
given it my energy." It's
Yeah.
that
No,
was a
me
good
either.
question.
Me either.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that. I don't know if it's elusive or did I pass. I don't think it's an age thing. It's just it looks like a big black hole to me.
It's a desire, right? And I
Yeah,
mean that I
for
think
me,
that's
the
important for
energy
people
there
to
just
hear.
yeah, there's so much, and
Yeah.
there's only so much energy and attention that, we can give, and I think that I have to choose one, and I think
Right.
there's the power of choice again, isn't it? The power of choice of not having to be everywhere all the time, and that's what I choose to put on. Interesting that you did too, because we are a lot alike.
So
Angie
much.
Wisdom,
Yes.
thank you for being in the house today and being so wise and dropping so much wisdom. You've had so much wisdom in your book. Um, you can find angiewisdom.com. It's .com. Her book, her links. She's going to give us. We will put this in our newsletter too. This podcast show with the download of your freebie, which I just know is probably going to be as honest and truthful and connected as you are. I was stoked to have you today. I'm looking down to see if I missed any. I always do this. I look down, I'm like, oh, look at all these great questions. But I think we gave everybody, I think, exactly what they needed, which was perfect, energetically
Oh,
perfect. So thank you for being here.
thank you, Dana, so much. You just held such great space, and I'm happy to be here with you.
Well, you're a gift. All right, everyone. Thank you for showing up today at the Dana Grant Show. Until next time, download the PDF from Angie Wisdom. You'll probably want to download this podcast and listen to it again and again. You dropped some great advice. All right, everyone. Bye for now.